There are several political races that I'm paying attention to. Several races across the country. One in particular is taking place in Florida, where the corrupt Debra Wasserman-Shultz is running against an independent Tim Canova. This is a Republican. I don't know who he is. It doesn't necessarily matter to me. The person that matters to me in this case is Debra Wasserman-Shultz and Tim Canova. It is possible that Tim Canova can take this race. This is a ballsy move, by the way, and it's a move that I recommend for all lefties across the nation, especially lefties who feel that they were shafted in the party process. Tim Canova had his ballots destroyed. He wanted to interrogate the vote to make sure that the vote was accurate the last time that they ran against Debra Wasserman-Shultz, and he looked back for the vote. There were no ballots. The ballots had been destroyed and replaced with photocopies. Well, this broke federal and state law, but nobody would back Tim Canova up on this, even though the judge said so. There wasn't a real consequence for that. Tim Canova decided to run as an independent. I love that. Tim Canova should have ran as an independent. Tim Canova is doing God's work running as an independent. Now, the catch becomes whether or not Tim Canova can win, or is Tim Canova just a pressure candidate? And in this case, Tim Canova does have a chance of winning. Debra Wasserman-Shultz has dodged the debates. I don't want to debate him. I'm not going to put my record on the line. I don't want to have this conversation. She had a debate with him, if I'm not mistaken, the last time around, but this time around, not so much. For a contrary example, Bernie Sanders, 40 points ahead, debated his Republican opponent. I'm going to cover that video today. But let's go to this part. We have a problem in this country. Corporations have seized control of the political edifice. They've been able to put money into the pockets of political leaders, send them out there, and have them be their representatives. Congressmen, people who supposedly are representing our interests, go to Washington and represent the interests of the companies that are paying them, that are shoving dollars into their G-strings. The Republican Party, fair enough. The party of the rich. They're corrupt to the hilt. Fair enough. But I have no expectations of things coming from the Republican Party. It is the Democratic Party that speaks in the language of feel your pain. Now, Debra Wasserman-Shultz was said to be a bad manager by Donna Brazile, and I suspect Donna Brazile was being far too kind and using bad manager as just kind of this it's like I threw the dog down the steps as opposed to what really happened, or I kicked the dog, when the reality of it is you threw the dog down the steps. It's easier to say you kicked the dog. In this particular case, it was easier to call her a bad manager as opposed to calling her utterly and entirely corrupt. She is big sugar. Tim Canova, in this race, is running as an unabashed lefty. And in running as an unabashed lefty, one of the things that he's decided to hit her on, especially with this thing of corruption, is big sugar. Take a look at this. He made an argument, and I want to show you what he's been doing, because I love this. This is political grandstanding, but it's political grandstanding in a good way.
It's rotten, it's toxic. Came here to see the environmental damage that's been done by Big Sugar.
And they buy every politician, Democrat, Republican, Independent, everyone they can get a hold of, they buy.
I just saw the algae bloom right here at the marina. It's awful. It stinks to the high heavens. You breathe it for 10 minutes and you feel like you want to gasp for air. And I don't see how any sea life can survive underneath this algae.
I'm a father, I'm a husband. I have a 13-year-old daughter that was born and raised here. This is my backyard. If somebody was polluting your backyard, you'd stand up. You can't just dump your crap in my backyard and expect me not to stand up and fight for it.
Kenny, it's manatee country, huh?
Yeah, I mean, imagine the manatees out there trying to breathe this, drink it, live in it. Imagine the dolphin. Imagine the fish. Imagine the birds. This is affecting all of us. This catastrophic on an entire economy and an ecosystem. This is all toxic blue-green algae from Lake Okeechobee. So these manatees are stuck here at the St. Lucie Locks. They're stuck in this blue-green algae and can't get out of it. We can't swim at the beach. We can't swim in the river. We can't go to the sandbar because of this toxic blue-green algae.
And just so you don't think this is just purely political grandstanding, political fact, I found this to be mostly true. Debra Wasserman Shultz has voted for huge subsidies for sugar industry as well as delays in the cleanup. Yeah, PolitiFact gives them a yes. I want Debra Wasserman Shultz to lose, to as much as I want Ted Cruz to lose. That's where I am. There needs to be a reckoning here, and if I'm being honest, there is a soreness, an indelible scar from 2016 and Debra Wasserman Schultz's role in 2016. But it goes beyond that. The job or corporation's goal is to maximize their profit. That's their primary concern. But the political edifice is not there to be at the behest of corporations, even though that is what is taking place. Our political process runs on cash, the amount of campaign donations, the money that they're going to expect from campaign sources that are outside of the typical campaign donation systems, from super PACs. No, they're not supposed to be coordinations, but let's be honest, there is a certain degree of coordination between super PACs and the campaigns. There is a massive ton of money in our political process. Hillary Clinton got like $1 billion a run. Obama got like $1 billion a run. Donald Trump got, $500,000 to run. These people are getting God knows insane amounts. And what we find is that the people with the most cash, especially in the congressional races, 90% of the time, that person wins. So the primary goal at this point of the politician, to some degree, becomes, how do I get the most cash? Because knowingly, if I get the most cash, just from a statistical standpoint, I have a 90% chance of winning that race. That needs to stop, and that needs to be broken. And we need to get to a point of getting people who represent us, not through dollars. Tim Canova has taken no money from corporate sources. Tim Canova is running this race, powered by us. He is beholden to us. He's been on the show. He is a friend of the show. And he wouldn't be a friend of the show if I thought he wasn't going to stand by what he's saying. So Tim Canova is running in Florida, and even just to take Debra Wasserman Schultz, have her give the concession speech, I wanted to burn in her soul to the same degree that I wanted to burn in the soul of Ted Cruz. I would bathe in that concession speech. I would run it on a loop on the days that I am blue. That's assuming she gets one. That's assuming she's even willing to give one. Let's see, who's here? A dingo ate my baby. Morning, y'all. Stephanie Chateau. Yes! Back at you, Stephanie. Please do when it happens. Oh, I will. I will. And by the way, there have been people who said Beto wasn't going to win. Beto didn't have a chance of winning. Nonsense! Have you seen the number of voters that are going to the polls in Texas? There are more voters that are going to the polls in Texas in early voting than the entirety of the previous midterm election. Beto is going to win. And when Beto wins that race, I will be on this show chest thumping, saying, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. 1,000 times I told you so. Look, the polling is done by men, not by gods. And until the election is held, it is impossible to know. But the fact of the matter is they are not taking into account 500% additional polling or 500% additional voters coming to the polls. Those people are coming with intention. It's like an individual going into a store early in the morning. That person is going to the store because he wants to buy something because he's going there early in the morning. Odds are, Beto is going to win. I believe you, Jamarl. You don't get away with insulting Whataburger in South Texas. What happens when Beto loses? When Beto loses, I come on the show and say, hey, oh well, Beto lost. But keep in mind, Beto was never given a chance to win in the first place. Beto was considered a long shot. And not just that, Beto ran as a flaming lefty in red state Texas, completely eviscerating this idea that you can't be a lefty in red states. You can't be a lefty in red states. Are you saying Pope go to the polls is working? I don't know what Pope go to the polls is. All right, guys, let me end this because there's one more that I want to do. We have to head out, but I'll be back in a few. If Beto loses, Cruz would claim it's the divine message that he's God messenger. Ted Cruz, red state Texas, this is like this is a big fucking deal. If Beto loses, Jamarl will end this channel and go work for Sam Cedar. Oh, by the way, before I end this, my fundraiser to save Michael Brooks. Danny Knapp has donated. All the money goes towards Center Against Domestic Abuse. All of it. None of it goes towards me. All of it goes towards a charity. All of it goes towards a good cause. Not to mention the good cause of Save Michael Brooks, Save the World. There's a radical in Michael Brooks that is screaming to get out. Him saying that, being radical and brave and then voted for Clinton. Okay, I don't think those things apply. I think those things are mental gymnastics. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in saying he's not utterly insane. So, save Sam Cedar's abused work wife. It's never okay. It's never okay. Danny Knapp, shout out Danny Knapp. That guy. That's the guy he works for. What do you say about that lefty shit of radical? You better cut that radical shit down. I work for MSNBC. This is my paycheck. You better shut up. Yeah. Danny Knapp. Shout out to Danny Knapp. And shout out to my wife because it was her idea for domestic abuse. I was going to give it to Doctors Without Borders, but the domestic abuse thing applies a little bit more so to this. And by the way, the work wife thing has nothing to do with being gay. The guy I used to work with, John, he used to be considered my work wife and vice versa. Or I've been at other companies where I've had a work wife that was a female. It's nothing to do with being gay at all. This is more of a working thing, working relationship. So cut that shit out. Own it for what it is. All right, guys. I will end this here. Demand that everyone pay him a tribute while wearing no pants and have a broccoli shoved on there. What? Too many people don't understand how the corrupt the bourgeois political system is. They don't. I think they do in a tangential way. Like I think they get it in the sense that they're being screwed over, which is why they didn't want status quo. What the comfortable left misses is that a large section of the population is angry. They're angry. They're hurting. They're in dire straits. And yes, a large part of that population is white. But just because they're white, some of them, yes, have certain attitudes that I don't necessarily agree with and I don't particularly like. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't hurting. And that the fact that they're hurting economically exacerbates those particular attitudes. The bourgeois left looks down on those people as opposed to trying to understand why they behave in the way that they behave and go to a monster. These people used to be aspects of the Democratic Party and have thrown themselves at a monster. But no, the problem is Susan Sarandon, Jill Stein. The problem is the lefties who say enough with this nonsense of lesser evil voting, who say that the Democratic Party is utterly corrupt, almost as much as the Republican Party. But the fact of the matter is, this idea of propping up this system in the way it is allows the system to keep going. It's time to break that model. The ire that they're coming up with needs to be directed at the political class, not at Jimmy Dore, not at my show, not at whatever other lefty they come up with that they disagree with. But whatever, it's their show. They can run their show on the ground as much as anybody else. And I strongly suspect that a lot of what takes place from the standpoint of them attacking Dore is just jealousy. You never punch down, typically, which is why I suspect Jimmy Dore never bothers to bring them up. There's no point. Luca Clemente, I am not racist. I have nothing against blacks or Jews. What? Where did that come from? That came out the blue. Sam Cedar wants to wear Jimmy's skin. Yes, I think that's what it is. He wants what Jimmy has in regards of support. It is utter jealousy. Sam Cedar did a video, God, and I can't find this video, where he's talking, makes this analogy to lemonade stands, saying that Jimmy Dore is selling a brand of lemonade that people want, and that him, to some degree, is trying to undermine that because he wants people to buy his brand of lemonade. Essentially, I vote Democrat. Yeah. Here's the X factor in this, is that shaming voters hadn't worked. And that Donald Trump gets elected because people want to change candidate, just like they wanted to change candidate in 2008. They didn't get that change candidate, which utterly discredited the Democratic Party with regards to many and a large part of the white working class. Not to mention Hillary Clinton alienated the white working class using this kind of wedge issue of identity politics as opposed to dealing with economic realities. I mean, come on. You can voter shame all you want. At the end of the day, you have to deal with the fact that you have a mass of white working class and, across the board, African Americans too, but the emphasis puts on them, so fair enough, that whatever you want to call them are hurting. And they are not in your sandbox. And because they're not in your sandbox, all the voting shame in the world is not going to matter. You got to deal with them. Those are the people that you need to engage. And that needs to be an economic message that is a radical economic message. This triangulation shit is past. That's done. We're in an age of aggressive politics. Learn how to read, Jamarl. Look, the blacks, the Jews is how racist talks. Yes, it is how they talk. I am not racist. I don't know what have is. Nothing against the blacks or the Jews. Learn how to spell, Luca. How about that? How about that? Learn how to spell. A dingo ate my baby. Cedar is typical Northeastern liberal. He has MSNBC contributors, money. He is comfortable in the system we have and does not get the anger. He does not want to rock the boat because he's in it. Yes, he's in the boat. That's my point. He's comfortable. He can be smug and look down on it because he's utterly detached from the pain and anguish that people deal with. So, yeah, I mean, come on. Ha! You got me. Thank you, Luca. I tried. I wasn't going to say anything about that hab, but fucking around with my reading skills. But that's it. I did fuck up the reading, so fair enough. The funny part is, you're right about this. My wife and I were joking about this. There was an article where the kids said something like, she said, don't vote for my dad. And then in the article, the kid said, the Jews. He hates the Jews. And I always thought that's so weird. It's such a bizarre way to... The Jews, the blacks, the gays. As opposed to he hates the Jews, he hates the blacks, he hates the gays. It's so weird.
Who says the whites?
Nobody says the whites. Yeah, nobody says the whites. I normally get up at the crack of noon. I am messed up. I guess Jamarl would be online. I was right. Did you now? You just guessed that. Yes, I'm a hamster on a wheel doing shows, unfortunately. To some degree. I do when I'm doing laundry. All right, I'm going to end this because there's something that, Jews don't have to be talented. They just have to be Jewish and are permanently taken care of in perpetuity because they're Jewish. You're not allowed to fire Jewish people. Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that? Oh, Skip. Yeah, if you're in Israel, maybe. But Jesus fucking Christ, Skip. Come on. I just found people are comparing H.A. Goodman to Jimmy Dore. Oh, God, there's no comparison. H.A. Goodman has gone off the fucking cliff. There is no comparison. That is that's insane. Severe Soviet winter prison. That is outrageous, Skip. That is outrageous. Perpetuity. Yes. Jews make up 2.5% of the population. Right? He's like, you're never allowed to fire Jews. I don't know where you get that from. You should have added the Jews. That would have made it better. All right. But look, what makes this a community is we have people of all particular perspectives, even the perspectives I don't agree with. So, Skip shares his opinion and we talk about it. Fair enough. All right. I'm not sure if I like this video because there's certain parts of it that I didn't do the explanation right. When I do this video, I think of what I want to say in the beginning, and what I want to say in the beginning is never the way it comes out in the video, which always annoys me. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. I think in this case it was worse, but it's what it is. I'll leave it. You should see the money HA makes by pandering to Trump voters. Oh, I said early on, it is utterly insane to me that oh man, you start off as a Bernie voter. Fair enough. You don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. Fair enough. Bernie Sanders talks about health care, talks about minimum wage laws, expanding Medicare, Social Security, curtailing gun rights, all that stuff. And somehow you go from that to having a show where you're doing guns. Let's be honest. There's a certain degree of pandering in that process, and there's all incentives are in the world to go that way. I can do hate videos on Hillary Clinton every day and get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 votes of people who watch it and who hate her guts. I don't want to do that. That's not the show I wanted to do. It's not the show I wanted to do. Skip Rock. HA predicted Trump would win. He's more credible than mainstream media. He did predict Trump would win. He did. Yes, he did. Mark Benjamin. Asians and Jewish traditions just lean towards a successful life or crippling depression because of Phil. Either expect a lot from you and you'll survive, or I'll throw you under the bus. Or crippling depression because of Phil. Because Phil, I don't know who Phil is. Either expect a lot from you and you'll survive, or I'll throw you under the bus. I don't understand that one. All right. I'll leave this here. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. Does anybody else think Michael Brooks spuns like Boo Boo Bear? I have no idea what that means, but it's funny. It's funny to my ears. All right, guys. Thanks all.